Yeah, look, she's a fantastic player. We talk about it previous to her being here, just the amount of ground she covers, how passionate she is for her team to succeed. She's got that never quit type of mentality, and it's always wreaked havoc across the league since she's joined the league. She fits our identity massively, and we are so thrilled that she's here and believe she has a lot to offer this group on top of who she is as a person. We know people that know of her during this process and reached out, and there was nothing but good things to be said from a character standpoint as well. And we think we're in a very good spot with our group from a culture and an environment standpoint. So adding someone of her quality from a football sense, but quality as a human being to our group is massive for us. So we're incredibly excited that she's here.
When you bring a player like her in, and do you already have in your mind, it's like, here's the spot where I want her, or does it take you a few practices?
Yeah, no,
and
of
figure out
course, of course. There's a spot that we're looking at for her, and then just getting her into our systems as quick as possible. Obviously, this is a quick turnaround from our last match against San Diego. So within these 2 days, having her in these 2 days, really important for us from a quick turnaround standpoint. But just getting her as quick as possible from coaching staff and players into our systems. But yeah, again, just thrilled that she's here.
Now, Joe's going to talk about the gauntlet maybe again that you've gone through, but you've
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Houston coming up, who has really kind of rounded into form. What have you seen from them recently that presents a challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, a very quality side, very respectable coach leading that group. The team's very bought into what they're doing there. Have scored some recent late goals, 2 in injury time and 1 maybe towards the 88th minute or so. So being aware in that space is going to be important. But yeah, obviously back at home is nice for us. We've been on the road for 3 games. Obviously you spoke about the gauntlet in reference to those amount of games with top teams. But it's really important for us, I think, after this last match to get the 3 points at San Diego to play in the way our identity has really flourished in these past several games and throughout this season. To come in with such confidence, with such a short build, there's only so much you can go over. There's only so much you can do. A 2-day turnaround. So the momentum and the confidence from that match and the performance from the group is really, really great for us. And yeah, again, we're just excited to be back at home. These next 2 games are back at home. Very excited for us to be in front of our home crowd. Very grateful for the support and excited for tomorrow's match.
You mentioned quick turnaround. What would you be looking for from your team specifically in the first 30 minutes?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's all about how we are able to carry out this week. And the idea was as much information as possible, but the simplicity of that information is going to be important. There's a whole different tactic to it when you are looking at a 2-day lead-in versus a 4-day lead-in, and kind of what that looks like for the group. Confidence is a big piece of it, and so that's why I feel this last game's momentum really helps us into this week and the preparation of it, but the preparation's completely different because there's only so much ground you can cover in reference to, obviously, the high-minute players and those low-minute players. They're going to be a little bit different in that space, so it's just us as a staff getting way ahead of it. And understanding what we are able to cover and what benefits the team to prepare them as best as possible and keep them as fresh as possible.
You mentioned in San Diego that kind of the halftime tweak you made.
Yes.
The press, is that something you'll be paying extra careful to this week, saying is there anything at that point in time we need to adjust, just knowing that you've had less time to prepare?
Yeah, no, I think teams always present different things throughout a game, and our job is to keep our eyes on what's presenting to the team and what best will help them, especially in our identity from a pressing perspective. So I think it was just important for us to be able to, and Charlie did a great job tagging. Mitch turned around the clips. The staff as a whole has done a really good job for our ability to turn those clips around and look at them at halftime, provide the context that we feel could help them. Specifically in that tactical change. So each game's going to present something different. We have to be prepared to analyze it, see it, act quickly, or take a deep breath and go, is this happening more than a certain amount of times? Okay, yes, now it's worth addressing. There's a time and there's a place for everything when you're addressing tactical changes. So it's just us being fresh, getting our minds right as coaches, getting the rest that we need with a quick turnaround to ensure that we're set to make sure we could see those things and adjust as needed.
You mentioned Houston since the July break has scored a lot of late goals.
Yes.
Results-changing goals. Almost
Yes.
black magic voodoo goals out of nowhere.
Yes.
A couple games ago, 2 games in a row, you dropped points with late goals on the road. Is there specific things you can take away from those games that can prevent that from happening against Houston?
Yeah, I think the most recent was we did close out a match and we did take 3 points and then we did get a shutout. So I think those 2 games have been not nullified, but there's a confidence now in the group that we did close out a match. So I wouldn't say those last 2 matches, in reference to what you're speaking about, we didn't close out the game well. I think there was great tactics being had, going to the corner, slowing the game down, slowing it down with subs, the players taking initiative to slow down off of an attacking set piece. We're playing a short corner. So I don't think we didn't kill the game off well. And that's a different scenario to speak about. Whereas if we feel like we were still trying to play deep and causing ourselves a little bit more havoc than we needed to, I think it's a different type of addressing the group. So I think it was moving on from that, learning the lessons that we did, but I don't think it was as heightened as maybe people feel it was. So to come out with this confidence and to close out a match away, I think is a good place for us to be in.
I was chatting with Jordan Bloomer just a few minutes ago, and she brought up those 2 games and how they are still a little disappointed that they dropped points in those 2 games.
Of course.
But I reminded her that in those 2, and in the last one obviously as well, you were never in a position that you could have lost the game. You were never chasing the tie. You were ahead. On the road against really tough teams. Does that give confidence in these home games and the running?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just as you said, you're hearing it from the players. I think it speaks a lot about where we're at as a group, that we were in the lead. We weren't chasing the game. We were trying to close out the game. And I think that's a much different situation to be in than continuing to try and chase it and continuing to try and get the late goal. So I think it says a lot about where the group is, the character within the group. So yeah, just really, really happy for us to have come off this last match and have confidence into these next 2 days leading into tomorrow's match.